Right, episode number 2, and I'm here with Spanish athlete and coach Pablo Reveriego. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm so good, so happy to be here with you, Owen.
No, I appreciate your time. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
No, all good. I think if I remember rightly, is it 20? The last time I see you was Germany, right? At Final Rep Worlds, I want to say.
I think it was the European...
Was it Europeans?
Europeans, yeah.
Was that last year?
Euros 24. Euros 24.
24. Oh, my God. Okay, yeah. Okay,
2 years ago.
A while ago. Yeah, time flies.
Time flies.
Yeah. And I mean, at that point, because you were competing, right? In the 66 category when I see you then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back there I was competing in 66, but now I need to move to 73 this year. So now I'm competing.
That's the plan. Yeah.
Yeah. Now I'm competing in Euros, but in 73s.
How are you finding the jump up a weight class?
Well, the first like I jumped last year in 2025.
Yep.
And that year was like to set the ground, like set the basis. And this year I'm like now I'm in a good spot to compete against the monsters of the category, because like when you jump a category, the first year is to like, wow, I'm 7 kilos ahead like from last year, and this body weight feels strange. Like to adapt to a new body weight, more muscle mass, that takes time. And the first year is to like, take some time to get the base. And after that, you like get the fruit from the tree, you know?
Yeah, no, that's it. Was there any particular reason that you decided to go up to that class?
Like water cuts were like killing me in 66.
Okay.
Like that year in Euros 24, I like had a horrible time getting into category, because I remember that before the weigh-in was like the day before of the competition.
That's right. Yeah, it was. Yeah. So now it's worse, right? With 2 hours.
Now it's like 2 hours. There's no chance to get in there.
No, I get it. Yeah, I get it. Okay. Well, I guess in that case, it probably made the decision easier as well, because with less time to recover from weight cut, it's going to make it harder. So yeah. And I think you'll probably be able to showcase your full potential without a harsh weight cut, right?
Yeah, for sure. Now I'm training good. I'm happy, because when you like go in a calorie deficit for a long time, like your behavior is worse. Like you are always angry with everyone. And now I'm happy training. Like I'm enjoying the moment, and it's the result of performance. Like you perform better with a happy environment.
Yep. Yeah. No, that's good. So I always like to sort of go back to begin with, just to get an idea kind of about you in terms of like right now, obviously streetlifting athlete, streetlifting coach, but how have you got to that point? What is maybe your sporting background, strength background, athletic background, and then how that's kind of transitioned into where you're at now? Okay.
I started with, here in Spain, football is like the main sport of every kid. Like, the World Cup is here. So every kid loves football. But after 4 or 5 years, like at age of 12, more or less, I like to a change. I wanted a change. And I saw a gymnastic club here in my city, and I started gymnastics. I love it. I'm a small guy with good biomechanics for gymnastics, and I love the twists, the acrobatics, the rings, the parallels. Like I have a lot of background in there.
Okay.
But when it got difficult because I had like 18 years old, and the level of the gymnast here was too high. I needed to compete in a really high level, and I really couldn't afford like 6 hours training, studying. I started the degree here of sports science, and I couldn't handle like 6 hours training a day, studying, and then having a life. So
yeah.
I decided to also the COVID in 2020 stopped gymnastics, and I started calisthenics then in 2020. Started calisthenics and street lifting, and like my first contact with street lifting was here in Spain in an Arnold Classic. It wasn't called street lifting. It was called like 1RM competitions. Like they only compete in dips and pulls. And I saw Pericol, I saw Matthews Ladd competing in Barcelona, you know.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And then I saw Marc Altarriba here in Seville competing, and I discovered a new world. So I said, I want to be there. When I finished my degree, I started coaching athletes during my degree of sports science, like my friends, students in the degree, and it was like a snowball effect that it went up and up and up. I started competing here in Spain in the 66 weight class. I was small there, and then I kept training also athletes in the way, and here I am in Euros, like in one category up, and so happy to be here. Like now my mission is to like spread the street lifting with all the Spanish community. Like here in Spain, in South America, there's a lot of street lifters, but there's no like a community, a solid community. Like everything is down to the same like final rep rules. Here in Spain, we work with Asociación Española of Street Lifting.
That's right. Yeah.
And they don't agree with final rep, so we are like in another way with the final rep federation, and that in terms of Spanish athletes competing in final rep, it's like difficult for us because we can show our real level. Like here in Spain, we have a lot of good athletes, but I think like if like there's no I don't know how to say it, but there's no community between the final rep, the Spanish athletes, and
it's kind of a big separation.
Yeah.
Oh, I get what you mean. I mean, South America has started to pick up. I've noticed, which is interesting, because I think before I wasn't really aware of much. Maybe it was happening, but I just wasn't aware. I wasn't seeing it. But now, I mean, to be fair, everywhere is picking up, right?
Yeah.
From a few years back,
it's growing like so fast, more than powerlifting in his time.
Right. Yeah. The rate in which it is growing. So when you got into street lifting and stuff, there was no exposure to like your just general gym stuff. You know, when people get into gym, they just bench press, pull downs. Did you sort of bypass that sort of part of training? Would you just straight into calisthenics and street lifting?
Yeah, I started the gym I started gym like when I was doing gymnastics, because like a complementary work of gymnastics is also the gym workouts, typical hypertrophy gym workouts. But I started doing pull-ups and dips like in 2015, I think, or 2016, like a lot of years ago.
Yeah.
Because I felt that gave me a lot of strength for gymnastics also. Like the base of pull-ups and dips are a great exercise for that. So, but yeah, I started there doing that workouts, but here in my city, there's no good gym equipment for that. I started.
Okay.
I moved to Madrid to do a master. I don't know how to say it, like
master's degree in like university.
Yeah, a superior degree in Madrid.
Yeah.
And there was better equipment, but no street lifting equipment yet. There wasn't like good street lifting equipment. And then I moved back to my city. I'm from Extremadura, and here I started buying like equipment for street lifting, and then I slowly I was building up a gym for street lifting athletes, also powerlifting athletes, and people who likes training, because I hated like commercial gyms. They always said that no chalk, you can't you can't like go so heavy because you can't I don't know how to say molestar, but disturb other people there.
Okay. Yeah.
And it was horrible training there, and I decided to like build up slowly a gym. First, I started in my garage. I remember my first Euros, I prepared everything in my garage, in my home, and then building up that to a local here in my city. That's now my gym, and I started with one street lifter there, and now we are a group of like 15 people doing street lifting.
No way. Okay.
I'm so happy that I think you have to grow the sport like globally with social media and so, but the real work of street lifting is also in your country, in your city, in your environment. If you spread your passion with all of your friends, they want to be like you. They want to train street lifting because it's great, it's fun, you get a good physique. I think it's I agree. They also become lovers of the sport, you know?
Yeah. I think it is important because it's like there's obviously lots of opportunities now to compete and stuff, but it really comes back to the community aspect more locally. So if there's a good community, say around where I live, it's just going to help build. Without those communities, it's going to be difficult to grow the sport bigger and bigger. I mean, that's if we look at, say, CrossFit, their community is crazy, and that's why it just blew up, right, to like a massive sport. And a big part of it is that. So things like what you're doing is what's key to really growing it. And it's kind of why the original reason why I started this brand. And do I want to put on big international competitions? Yeah, for sure. But first of all, it starts here in the UK. And if there isn't competitions happen regularly, how are athletes able to get exposure to compete and stuff? And giving them workshops to be able to learn the rules and stuff like that. And we can't rely on other people to do it. It has to be, if I want the UK to improve, I'm going to have to do something to sort of contribute towards that. So I get what you're saying, and it's good that you're doing that.
For sure.
So the gym, that's your daily job in terms of running the gym alongside coaching?
Like my daily job is like only coaching. Mm-hmm. I had like another gym because I started in a small local, in a small, I don't know how to say, but space, in a small space.
Yeah.
And now I have a worker there doing like personal training with functional. I combined in the past, like I was online coaching and personal training there. but I split it into two gyms, like in a bigger space, and I maintain the small space to do that personal training job. And my main focus now is to spread, like in social media, in coaching stuff. And the big gym like works alone. I don't need to be there to be opened, because it's like really sustainable, and people knows everything. It's like I have a lot of confidence with the people training there, and it works alone, you know.
Yeah. No, I like it. So as a coach, I'm guessing a lot of your clients, athletes, a lot of them are online based, right?
Yeah.
So online coaching. Yeah. So what's kind of like the first step? So like if I'd come to you and I'm like, Pablo, man, I need coaching. Like what's like the initial steps? What are you looking for? Is there assessments, questionnaires? Like how does it sort of initially start with you and an athlete before you actually start training with them?
The first thing I do is like to know the person. I like to know in a video call like this, and we like just talk. We just talk about their context, their past life, what are their objectives now, where they want to go, to just like have the roadmap. I like also to put the objectives in a calendar with the athlete, like we are going to do this in this time, like a really top-down methodology, because just to set up the athlete for objectives, because if we just build from nothing, blocks and blocks and blocks with no path, the athletes may just lose their mind in the way, you know. And I like to set up some objectives, because the athlete knows we are going to do this in this block. The objectives with muscle ups are this and this and this. With pull ups are this and this and this. And in that first call, I like to first know the person, know where they want to go, and then I do some questionnaires after the call to recopilate, have more information about the athlete, and then I just start the block. Like I put a calendar with the objectives, and I start the season. Okay. And we split into two different parts, like off season and season. Season means competition time. Off season means like playground, you know, giving some base, giving some more accessory work, more variation, more variability, and that's how I split all the season in the athlete way to compete, or like just build muscle, because I have a lot of clients who just want street lifting for street building, like I call it.
Okay.
They want just a lot of athletes come to me because they see street lifters have a really good physique. We train hard, and it's fun. And like it's fun, you get better results just than regular gym training, because machines, cables are good, but it's not like doing pull-ups or dips or muscle up. I think it's really fun to progress in that exercise, and people notice that. People notice that they are more motivated, and they feel like having more fun in training. It's better for also physique results, you know.
Yeah. Just to confirm, well, for myself as well, but for those listening who may not be aware. So when you say street building, essentially, are we looking at training in a similar way and for the same similar things that a street lifter does, but with more of an objective of aesthetic goals as opposed to trying to improve my 1RM for competition? Is that... Yeah.
More aesthetic goals. Like I also give them the nutrition. I have also part of nutrition there, and the objectives is like not competing, getting stronger, obviously, but not in 1RM strictly.
Okay, so less pressure, probably not really worrying too much on having to improve the 1RM exactly. Yeah. No, I like it. So if we go with like the off season stage that you spoke about, how does this kind of differ? Like sort of just the general overview of how this differs in terms of your approach to, say, building the athlete's base. What sort of things would you be looking to do to achieve that?
I like to first the first block of the athletes is like a exploration block, because when I don't know the athlete, I need to know like their weak points, the strong points, like if he's more like a pusher or a puller. I need to know the athlete, and in the pass of the blocks, I just set up like the first off-season blocks are like for building muscle, for variation work. Like instead of, if it's an athlete that competes in chin-ups, I start with pull-ups or combining chin-ups and pull-ups in that blocks. I like to, like for an example, I don't like to be like their 1 RM of chin-ups must be similar to their 1 RM to pull-ups. And in that off-season, my objective is to get closer, in that gap must be closer, you know?
Okay, yeah.
And that's an example, but I like to do it with pull-ups, dips, and squats there. Yeah. Like that safety bar 1 RM is not so obviously knowing the difference, but their competing squat and their safety bar squat, there's no a gap, there's no like a really weak point there, or their high bar squat.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Also with bench press or military press, I like to improve their capability of pushing that bench press or military press, because after when you go for that season, all that base transfers, and I see it clearly. Like if you work your weakest point, also your strong points. If you want, I like. Let me explain, because English is not easy for me.
Yeah.
But normally you have 2 or 3 still lifting competitions. Like
in the year, we talking?
In the year.
Yeah. Okay.
Like a qualifier and then the big competition. When you come up to the first competition, you need to work that weak points, because you don't need to a really big peak. The big peak you need the big peak in the
more
final
comp. Yeah,
in the more important.
Yeah.
When you build that weak points for the first competition, after that first competition, then you work your strong points to get that big peak in the big competition. So I try to choose the good variations for getting the greatest peak of the athletes in the important competition, you know?
Yeah, I like that a lot, because it's like the saying, like, you're only as strong as your weakest link. So it's kind of like you're making sure any weak links the athlete has, we get it ironed out in the less important competition, and then it means their potential ceiling is going to be higher for that important one where they need to peak to the max, right?
For sure.
And yeah, I don't know about you, like, just peaking once is a lot. So having to peak to your max multiple times in a year, it takes it out of you as well. So it's kind of like, what's the more important comp? That's the one we really push everything. And yeah, I like that approach. And just, I'm a big believer in if there's a weak link, strengthen it. Obviously, your strong things, improve them, but you have to work on weak links as well. So I like that. If you had like is there any like what's your like typical duration? I know it can depend on when the competition is taking place, but is there like a typical duration where you'd like that sort of base building period to at least last for? Is there a limit to where it's kind of like at that point we need to change things? We can't just keep base building.
Like depends on the athlete, but the duration of the periods depends on the peaking of the athlete. Like
okay.
For small athletes, I like between 4 to 8 weeks. That's a good range.
When you say small, is this like lower weight classes?
Lower weight classes.
Lower, okay, yeah.
And bigger weight classes need more peaking approaches, like 10 to 12, like because their exposure to load needs to be like really good. It's not a linear progression, but I like to undulate or go for waves with bigger athletes because they are moving more load and they need to like get the feeling to load slowly. So depending on the peaking weeks, I then build back up the rest of the periods.
Okay.
If normally it takes like 5 to 6 weeks to get for a regular 80 for the 80 class athletes, like a normal athlete, for 5 to 6 weeks of peaking, and then I move back up, and like I have like my phases of the my structure of blocks are like I call it like in that off-season blocks. Their names are elemental blocks. And in that elemental blocks, I stay like 10 to 12 weeks, building some base with everything more or less the same, you know?
Yeah.
Like 12 weeks of accumulating like volume with high intensity and medium rep range. And then I move to that strengthening of the weak link block for 5 to 6 weeks. But I really like for me it's important that in that strengthening block or that intensification block has the same variations than we work in the elemental blocks.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
Like normally in 18 weeks we have the base done and then starts the season. You know?
Okay.
So after that 18 weeks of building base, because you need some time to build the base, then starts the season. And the duration of the season period depends on like the peaking. And before the peaking, there's a lot of volume structures, like accumulating volume in comp lifts. Like it's like the specificity rules there. And I also... like, you know, I have the competition lifts and some technique variations, but I don't blow my mind there. I blow my mind in the off-season blocks to transfer it to then the comp lifts, you know? Yeah,
nice. In that, just while we're on the topic of that base building sort of phase, is there other variables that you're using? I know you've mentioned like maybe a different so like pull-ups instead of chin-ups if their comp lift is a chin, or a different squat bar like a safety squat bar. Is there other variables that you use? So like, are you big on different variations of the comp lifts, tempo, accommodating resistance, any of these sort of things? Are you using any of those kind of variables as well?
Yeah. For sure. I like a lot of bands, using bands on dips or in squats. Nice. And the bigger the band, like you start with bigger bands, and when you move up to the competition, you like reduce the load of the band.
Okay.
You know, I like that progression. Yeah. If I start with banded band.
Against the so pushing against the band, squatting pushing up against the band. Yeah. Okay.
Like I don't know how to say it. Like you have two types of variations, like the ones that make the load lower, and the one that make the load easier for you.
Yeah, are we talking in terms of the how you put the band on? You mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that okay. So the way I would refer to it is banded would be the band. If you're doing a dip, it's pulling you down.
Yeah.
So you're pressing that, and then reverse banded, your feet would go in it maybe. So it helps.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Yeah. And would you use you kind of use both variations?
I don't like to use the one who get easier.
Okay.
You know,
yeah,
I
no,
like always the limiting the load limiting variations.
Yeah.
You know.
Is this something you would use on all four lifts?
No, the only lift I don't really use variations is in muscle up.
Okay.
Like muscle up and pulls in general, I like to do specificity during all the season. Okay. I can go for pull-ups or chin-ups, but I don't blow my mind with crazy variations there. Like in the muscle up overall, like muscle up, it's like the lift who maintains more or less the same, changing obviously the protocol of reps, the protocol of like I can go for no deep muscle up or no deep plus deep muscle up, but I always love to maintain muscle up like in that specificity work all season. Yeah. Like there's no off season for muscle up, because if you go off season for muscle up, you may lose it. You know, it's
yeah. No, I get that. What about, so you're a fan of bands? What about like chains? Do you use chains at all?
I don't really use chains because I don't have here the equipment. But okay. I like chains. I like chains.
If you did, like, if you had them, it's something you would probably use. Do you reckon?
Yeah. Because nice. I studied there in Madrid. In that degree, I studied like hooks. I studied chains. I studied bands. Also, my final work of the master in Madrid was about resistance and variable resistance, like chains and bands. You know? And nice. I studied a lot of chains and bands, but here in my gym I don't have the equipment. I need to buy it because for off-season work I think it's so good using chains. Yeah.
You can never have too many gym toys, right? I like it. What about variables like tempo? Are you using like any? Obviously we've got the comp tempo, but are you manipulating tempos?
Variation. I split in like two types of variation, like strengthening variations and technique-wise variations. And tempo is referring more to technique-wise variations, like getting more feeling of the pattern of the movement.
Nice.
And I like tempo, but during the season. I use the technique variations for secondary, tertiary days, more like in push, like in dips or in squats or in bench press, and not. I don't like using like tempos in pulls, for example. Eccentric tempos maybe, but it's not like in pulls or muscle up. I just like to use like pings. Like pins or blocks to reduce the range of motion, but
so you end up doing like partial reps, but point
partial
you
reps.
Want
That's
nice.
That's the only variation I use on also locked chin-ups or locked pull-ups.
Would that be, when you say locked, would that be performing full reps but with a pause at the top, or do you mean just isometric hold and just hold?
Reps and reps and
so both.
And pausing.
Okay, wicked. So do you have any focus as well on? I only say this because it's just something that I use a lot for certain people, but I refer to it as like GPP. So GPP could be anything from like work capacity, or maybe an extra session where if you any weak links you do have, it's made up of assistance work to really hammer those. Is there any kind of GPP, or even like it could just be like maybe the athlete's just out of shape and they just need to, I don't know, some sled work, stuff like that. Do you have any involvement of that with your athletes?
Yeah, and also cardio, like cardiovascular efforts, like swimming or I don't like running because there's more impact on articulations on joints.
Yeah,
and
it's a lot of force, right?
Yeah, but swimming, plyometrics during that elemental blocks, I like to focus on another capabilities for the athlete to be like the more complete and functional, because when you go for season for, I don't know, 24, 32 weeks, you may lose some of that capabilities. Like I need an athlete that can run upstairs without giving him a heart attack, you know?
Yeah.
Because then that transfer to more working capacity afterwards. If you have an athlete that can swim, that can go for a run, that can do plyometrics, then do some farmer walk, sled work.
Yeah.
You have an athlete that then when he needs to go for a 5 reps of 5 sets of squats, it's capable of that.
Yeah.
But if you never work that capacities before, you will have a ceiling there.
Yeah.
Like performance can go up because you didn't work that capacities before.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. I mean, if you program someone 5x5, say, and they're blowing halfway through, there's a problem, right? And it happens. You do see it where literally they're out of shape, even though they're strong. They can't cope with that kind of volume, which isn't a crazy amount of volume, but because they're just out of shape. So it's good that you're tapping into that as well with your athletes. So in terms of like putting together your programs, your structures for your athlete, do you have like a weekly frequency that you like? Because obviously there's we've got 4, we're taking all 4 athlete, right? But is there like a weekly frequency of each of those movements? Like is there your sweet spot? Is it based on which ones they just need to work more on? Is there anything that you found working with your athletes that's works well?
Okay. Normally I like to give pulls frequency 3, like 3 times a week. Go for muscle ups and pulls. Dips, if you work with some variations, you can also go for that 3 times a week for dips. And also with squats. I like to have 5 days of training, like 2 only days of rest.
Yeah.
And normally, if the athletes can, obviously, and if it's an all 4 competing athlete, I also have athletes only working out like 3 days a week. But for me, if you can work with frequency, it's better. Like if you can split the volume into more days, you can have more of that volume. If you go rested, you go I think splitting the volume is better than go for, I don't know, 20 sets in a day, you know?
Yeah, the quality will definitely stay higher by spreading it across the week for sure. Yeah.
I like that quality over that quantity of you go for like 10 sets of squats that day. No, I like 5 sets this day and 5 sets another day.
No, I get you. If would that change if like we're now, I don't know, 6 weeks out from comp, we're like in that final peaking block, would that frequency be less of each individual movement, or does it stay similar for you?
When you go for competing, the frequency goes higher.
Okay, so go on, explain more.
In the off season, you go for frequency 1 or 2. You don't need more because you want to work on other capacities.
Okay, I'm with you. Yeah.
Frequency is building up during the season.
Yeah.
You start with just 1 day of bench press and 1 day of dips, like in the elemental blocks in the off season, and then when you work during the season, you need to end up with a frequency 3 of dips and a frequency 4 of pulls and a frequency 3 or 4 of squats. Like I like to split more the movement when competition is near. Okay,
that makes more sense now. And then if we go back to say the sort of peaking block where your frequency is higher of each individual movement, each session where you have an exposure of that competition lift, I'm assuming there's a different objective. Like, for example, not every session's 3x2 squat that day, 3x2 squat that day, and 3x2. Are they different for each one? There's a different objective?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. For sure. Normally, for pulling, I have 2 main days where intensity is the main focus of the session.
Yeah.
And 1 day of technique or speed acceleration capacity.
Nice. Yeah.
With bands or just pulling as high as you can.
Nice.
With push, I like more technique-wise variations, like 1 day of intensity and then 2 days of pause, tempo, ping. Like, I like that. I need to get that objective in different days.
So let's just take the dip for example. So we've got like you've got that 1 day where it's the intensity is high. It's essentially a heavy session, and then the other 2 sessions, let's say they're whatever variation, whether it's a pin or maybe the paused dips. Is it a case of the athlete is still working? They're actually working to a high effort, but because of the variation, that's what's bringing the intensity lower based on their 1RM. So they're still working hard, but they're forced to use less load because of the variation.
Yeah. Normally, yes. I like 2 days of progressing, and normally in peaking, when frequency goes up, I like 1 day of no building up the load and maintaining that load during all the block.
Okay.
Yeah. But getting like 1 more rep or 1 more set. Working up the volume or just maintaining. I like 1 day of just maintaining the protocol, the load, everything, and then 1 day of progressing in that pose, like a 2 reps pose might be like really intense.
Yeah. Okay,
but
I like
that. If you have that, you need to know that like dips, more like dips, because dips like tend to load the joints and the tendons, the passive of the passive. I don't know how to say it, but tendons and joints. They tend to have more, they get more hurt. They are.
I get what you mean. Yeah. No, I get you. I get you.
And you just need 1 day of healing, 1 day of recovering, But you're working the movement, but you need one day to just heal and get blood into that joints and prepare the body for the intense day, you know?
Yeah.
So
no, that makes sense. Yeah. I mean, that's a good way anyway to help recovery, is just doing something to get some blood flow to the area, circulation to the area. So yeah, it makes sense. Would it be different for the muscle up? Do you treat the muscle up any differently to the other movements where it's quite an explosive movement, like a speed movement almost? Do you have a different approach slightly?
Yeah, for sure. Like I work for specificity during all the season, like in terms of no variations. I like to change the protocols. Like I like to work in that off season, like more reps, like for 6 sets of 8 sets, even of 10 reps in muscle up.
So you'd go potentially as high as 10 at some point. Yeah. In that elemental blocks in the beginning. And then when you start the season, you just need to start the singles. Like I like singles in every session of muscle up, like just build into a single and then do the work. But the first thing I do is like build up to a single to make sure you get that quality single, and then you go for the work, like a 3x3, 4x4. But first you go work up for a single or a fatigue single. You work with a ramping of 3 reps, and then you go for a fatigue single. But specificity must be the king in the muscle up approach, you know? Yeah. No, I like it. I'm assuming in regards to programming the muscle up, is that always a first movement in a session for you? Or does it depend on, do you want them to do it fatigued? But I don't, what's your approach on that?
If you go for some elemental blocks in that off season, you can go for some fatigue muscle ups because technique wise is better. I like the Russian method or the sandwich method, like muscle up, then pulling, then muscle up again. You know?
Oh, okay. Yeah. There's another name called double method, which is a similar thing. But yeah.
Okay. I call it sandwich because you go for muscle up, then another movement, and then muscle up again. And I like that in that.
That's cool.
In that box.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah. It's like do it when you're fresh, and then again, kind of pre-fatigued, right?
Yeah, pre-fatigued.
Like that's something I use not always, not just for muscle up, but for anything. If it's something that we need more exposure to, and it's maybe we're not peaking at the moment, you know. It's kind of like if you've got a lift that's lagging, do it at the beginning when you're fresh, get some quality, then do something else that kind of fatigues you, then go back to that lift again. And that's really cool. I like that. Yeah. I really
because
like that.
You work a lot of technique there, because when you are fatigued, you need to do a perfect technique, because then you can do the protocol, you know? So you work like in terms of that fatigue. And I like that a lot. But specificity rules in muscle up. Also in Spain, the muscle up have like more importance than in final rep rules. Because
I found out that, myself, which I was unaware of. Yeah.
Because here in Spain, like you competed here in the Arnold in Madrid, and muscle up is like the more important lift of them all. Like you need, if you want to win here, you need to have like a lot of muscle up. So muscle up is like the first exercise, and a lot of frequency. Like you need to pick the muscle up perfectly. You need to choose the muscle up days perfectly. The day before you need to rest because you have muscle up that day, because you need to get a really good muscle up here in Spain.
The reason why I laughed was because that time I came to Spain, I had no idea. I just assumed it was just. Well, then I was like, huh? What just happened? How did I lose?
With a 260 squat.
But no, it's cool. So with do you have like a general structure? Do you structure in phases? Meaning, like, let's say we're running 8-week training block, 12-week training block, whatever. Does that then break down into phases? For example, I often use an accumulation phase into an intensification phase and bounce between those. Accumulation is the objective of we accumulate more volume. Intensification phase is the objective of we push the intensity. Do you have phases in your sort of system that you use?
Yeah. I like have that big 2 phases, like the off season and the season. Then when in the off season you start with the elemental blocks.
Yeah.
And when you work for that elemental blocks, where the main goal is like accumulating a lot of work and pushing the limits of the athletes more like in a intermediate range of reps, then you go for an intensification phase, just like a weak links blaster, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
To push the 1 RM, even in that. And then I start the season, and when you start the season, you start accumulating in comp lifts.
Okay.
You know, so you have a phase of accumulating, and then you go for peaking blocks.
And how long are you spending in each of these phases, or does that again depend on comp dates, etc.? But if we didn't have a comp anytime soon, how long are you sort of bouncing between?
Normally that elemental and strengthening there is like 18 weeks.
Okay.
That of season, and then the accumulation blocks like tends to be like 12 to 16 weeks, and then the peaking blocks may be like 2 blocks of 4 weeks. I like to have 2 peaking blocks, one big accumulation block of 12 weeks, more or less. I like that. Waves or undulating. It also depends on the movement. Like dips can go for 12 weeks because I like waving each 3 weeks the volume of the dips, and in pulls I like shorter blocks. Like I like 4 to 5 weeks in blocks in the pulls. You know, because each movement needs a time to peak. Each movement needs a different adaptation and a different time. So for squats and dips, blocks tend to be like to 10 to 12 weeks, and then peaking also are bigger in time. But in pulling, I like shorter and more intense blocks for that specificity work.
Yeah. The what you mentioned about like I think it was with dips, you said like waving the reps over like say 3 weeks. I think you said.
Yeah.
Can you give an example of how this might potentially look for week 1, week 2, week 3?
Okay. Normally, let's imagine we start with 6 reps range, and we start with week 1 ramping for 6 reps.
Am I ramping
RPE.
up to a top set in that session? Yeah. Okay.
Just the first week is just a ramping to 6 reps of RPE 7, RPE 6.
Okay.
You know? I like to go like so easy in the first weeks and build up from there.
Yeah. Is RPE your usual go-to of how it, or like, because some people use reps in reserve, some people RPE. Is there any one that you prefer?
I like RPE and load. I don't know how to say it, but 2 loads between. I like to choose a range of loads for the athlete. You know, you have that RPE 6, but you need to be between 40 and 60.
You know, percent.
No, kgs.
Sorry. Yes, I'm with you. Okay, I'm with you. Yep, makes sense.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
okay.
Because if you just like go for RPE, I normally see athletes like, well, RPE 5, I go so easy, or RPE 6, and I go so heavy.
Okay.
No, I put a range of kilos for the athlete to like have that objective, because athletes tend to like over I don't know how to say it, but they tend to push their limits a lot, you know.
Yeah. Okay, so that makes sense. So it's kind of like, the first week is kind of a comfortable ramping up, comfortable.
Easy ramping up, and then for week 2 I like to go for 3x6, more volume, flat sets. And then week 3 I go for a top set, like one set of 6 RPE 7 or 7.5, and 2 or 3 backoffs, and then I start next week with a ramping, but instead of 6 reps for 5 reps, or instead of RPE 6 I end up with RPE 7, but I like waiving that a lot.
So essentially, if we started at, say, if we chose 6 reps over those 3 weeks, they're slowly ramping up the intensity or more weight, and then they're dropping back down, comfortable again, but at a lower rep range. So maybe it's 5s now or whatever. And they do the same thing.
If the main goal of the block is peaking, maybe. Or if the main goal of the block is accumulating working sets, you can work up for that volume. So if you started with a ramping, then you can start with flat sets instead of ramping like a 4x4, 4x5. I also like to quantify the number of lifts of the athlete, you know. And
when you say flat sets, you mean whatever you use for set 1, use the same for your last set, same weight. Okay.
And for me, the number of lifts is so important, and I try in that accumulative blocks to, if we start with, I don't know, 50 lifts for a movement in this week, in week number 8 we need to get 70 number of lifts. You know?
No, that makes sense.
Instead of effective sets, like it tends to be the ideal volume rule for checking the work capacity of the athlete, I like to see the number of lifts. Also, I like to program the approximations, the first jumps you use to get to that working set. I like to
nice.
Also check that.
Nice. The you said about the maybe giving them also like a bracket of, could be between 40 and 60 kilos, for example. Is that something that you start to give to the athlete as you know more about them, you have more data on them? Like how if I came to you new, would you be giving me those potential weight selection brackets for my session today right from the get-go? Like, at what point does that happen, and how are you coming up with that?
I need to know first the athlete, you know, and the first block are to I normally ask the 1RMs of the athletes to have an idea of what are they moving in the comp lifts. But if they have no idea, they just need to explore everything to know, to get into knowledge of RPE, to get into knowledge of their body, and block after block, I know more of the athlete performance, and I know how to choose that bracket. You know?
Yeah, that makes sense. And I'm assuming what the more you're working with the athlete, that's going to be an ongoing process throughout the whole entire training process up until comp, I'd assume, right?
Yeah, because I only work with people who is compromised. Like I in the first call, I really like to interview the athlete because I don't want like a short-term athlete. I love long-term athletes who because my methodology needs to get that base work, and base work needs time. So I need to say the athlete, well, you maybe not progress in the first 12 weeks because we are working your weak points, and you are going to feel like shit, in that first weeks.
Yeah. I think what you've just said is like such a good point and an important point, because you will know yourself, like strength is like a long-term thing. It's a marathon. It doesn't happen overnight, and it takes time. And I think the base building is the foundation for you actually to get strong. So without that, you're kind of going around in circles. Because I often get athletes like, I need coaching for my comp. I'm like, okay, when's the comp? 6 weeks. I mean, I'll do my best, but we can't work miracles in 6 weeks, and it just takes time. So I couldn't agree with you more there. How much of an importance is your athletes to be able to auto-regulate based on maybe how that set felt and what they should do next? Or do you prefer them to kind of like, look, this is the plan, try and stick to that? Is there much importance on that for you?
I like to talk with the athletes, like knowing the preferences of the athlete is like so important for me.
Okay.
Because I can imagine the best working plan or the best block for the athlete, but if the athlete does not like it, it doesn't matter. Like if the athlete doesn't feel that block is good for him, you can go for a perfect block, like it's the best block of your life. But if the athlete doesn't want to do it, there's no chance for improvement, And you need to talk with the athlete for, well, I want this, but what do you want? Okay, you want this. We can go for a coordination between us, so we have something of what you like to have here in this block and what I want to do, And you have that mix.
Yeah, I like that. It reminds. So there's a few people maybe in the past where I'm like, this is what we need to work on, whatever it may be. Let's just say we need to improve some higher rep ranges because you've only ever trained singles and doubles, but you need to improve some higher rep ranges to help. And because they don't like doing that, like anything over 3 reps is high reps. Like a trick I'll use sometimes is like, okay, today's session, you're going to do 1 set of a single. Sub-max, not like 10 out of 10, but you can push to like a 9 out of 10, then 3 sets of what I want, 3 sets of 8. So that way they kind of get that single out of their system, but then really, and the other way I look at it is it could potentially, that could potentiate them anyway to suddenly make the 8 reps feel light. But yeah, I like what you're doing there. It's a similar thing where it's kind of like give them what they want, but they're still doing what I need them to do.
Yeah, that's the perfect definition.
Yeah, exactly. That, to be fair, that was going to be one of my questions actually, and it was going to be in regards to how would you deal with if the athlete really needs to bring this up, whatever that movement may be, some kind of assistance lift, but they say that they hate it and they never do it. How would you work around that? But I think you kind of answered that anyway, in a way. But have you been in any of those positions where it's kind of like they really need to bring this movement up? For example, it's only because I've seen it recently, like an athlete whose squat was kind of plateauing a bit, but the limiting factor was their quad strength. And it was obvious because every time they come back up, their hips just shoot back, they fold over.
Yeah.
So it's like, look, we could do with improving some quad strength. But some of the movements that are quad bias, some people don't like because they're tough. Yeah. But have you been in any of those situations where that's been a similar thing for you?
Yeah, for sure. I have in the past I have some athletes that they didn't want to train like squats, like they didn't want to push their limits in the squats. They just want the like you say that that comfort zone squats, like up to 3 reps and no more of that, or up to 4 reps. But you need to build the base. You need to build that quad strength, that lower back strength. You need to have a really good base in the squats, because if you don't work those capacities, like accumulating more volume, pushing hard in accessories, squats is not going to grow. Like, and I have had that problem in the past, and some athletes like don't want to do it, and I try to be realistic with them, like, okay, you don't want to do this, but your squat isn't going to be top level. Like, okay, we can go for what you want, but if you want to win, you need a good squat, and a squat requires effort. And sometimes the athlete wants a way, and sometimes you need to say, okay, we can't work together. You need to go with another trainer that can work that with you. And that's life, Some athletes, you need to I'm trying to be always like I don't know how to say it, sincere, or I'm sincero. I don't know how to say it in English, but
maybe like an honest coach.
Honest coach, I
like
always like to
telling them how it is, and not kind of like telling them what they want to hear. Like, it's like, look, this is how the reality. This is what needs to be done.
Because
do you want to do it?
I normally see coaches like always be so permissive, always be, that's okay, perfect, okay. But I don't need clients, I don't need athletes. Like, if you want to be here with me, you want something. Otherwise, it's that you don't want a big squad, or you don't want to be competing at the highest level. Okay, I understand it. But if you want to compete in the highest level, you need some effort, and you need to put the work. I'm not going to do miracles for you. No,
you're right. You're right on the money. I think if the athletes have the objective of wanting to reach that top level, you have to be honest with them, and tell them how it is, because there's no like easy road to it. So I like that you're being like that. And I think, to be fair, even to some extent, even if that's not their objective, I'm a big fan of, I'm not going to be harsh to everyone, but I'm a big fan of, like, I feel all of my athletes, clients, even if they don't compete, should have that elite mindset towards training. Maybe they're not trying to be the best. They're just trying to just get a bit stronger, and that's it. But at least having that elite mindset of, when I do go to train, it's all about training. I'm going to do the best I can in this session, make sure technique's on point, try to improve on what I did last week, and just having that same mindset, the way that an elite athlete would to their profession,
Yeah, for sure. And there's a lot of athletes that don't have that mindset. Yes.
True, yeah. And I think that can also be the difference between those really talented, strong athletes of actually not getting to where they should be. If if you're a bit lazy, like you see, especially where strength is such a long-term game. I've seen people who maybe weren't a genetic freak to begin with, but they've just been consistent over and over and just slowly just chipping away, and then you're like, holy shit, how did they get to that level? And they've just, you know, just been consistent, just slowly chipping away at everything. So I think that, yeah, that's a massive key.
Yeah. That's the always the debate or the talk about genetics and discipline. Like, with low genetics but high discipline and really being consistent in the game, you are going to get the results that you even imagine. Yeah, you know,
so true. I always use myself in it as an example. Some people thought I popped up overnight, but then what people forget is I'm 41 years old, and it's been a very long road of just doing stuff in the background, and it's only in the last probably 4 years I've now started to be like, yeah, I might compete in strength sports now. But it's like there's like 20 plus years of doing the same work at an elite athlete's level, but just not really doing anything with it, just training. So yeah, definitely.
You had the biggest of the bases, like 20 years of base.
The only problem now is how long can I maintain this before that happens? So it's do as much as I can now before it's time to hang up the sleeves. Yeah. Do you tap into, so like I'm big on like the like strength qualities on the so in terms of like maybe in this little phase or block we're going to really try to improve this quality, whether it be something like maximal strength, whether it be speed strength. Do you get into anything like, I mean, you probably do anyway, but maybe not consciously, but is it something that you actually specifically go out of your way to attack?
Yeah, for sure. Like I love speed work. Speed work normally for pulls, but also into dips or in squats. Like plyometrics are part of the program in the
nice. Cool.
In the elemental blocks. I don't like the word explosive because a teacher I had in the past said that nothing explodes in the body. Like it's like speed or acceleration work. But I like that. I love that speed work in strength sports. Like working that capacities, like because I've had a lot of athletes that came from the gym. I don't know if you have that problem, but I've had a lot of athletes that their first objective when they entered the gym was just hypertrophy, and they tend to do like a lot of tempo work in pulls and a lot of tempo in the push, and then they want to work street lifting and they want to compete in street lifting, but they can't produce force quickly. Like their rate of force producement, like is like this. They do the muscle up like this. You know, like if it's not hypertrophy, man. It's you need to go for some speed, and mainly with that athletes, I love the speed work. You know,
nice. Yeah,
I love it. No,
that's good. It's good. It's I like that you're big on that. I think when I first started like putting out street lifting stuff, because of the background I came from, we heavily use the conjugate system, which relies a lot on speed work. Not necessarily the conjugate system that Louis Simmons from Westside, in the way that he used it, but the concept of utilizing speed work within your training, having some days dedicated to speed work. It's like taking aspects like that. So it's nice because I don't think I wouldn't say it was a popular thing. Like, I think when I first started speaking about it, people were like, Oh, that's just for powerlifting. Even though I'm like, well, conjugate came from weightlifting originally, so how does that make sense? But it's nice that there's other people like yourself utilizing the same concepts, which work, right?
Yeah.
And I think even if it was a powerlifting thing, it's like just the concept of the fact that you're improving yourself to move quicker, but it's a massive opportunity to improve technique because the intensity is lower. So it's like, why would you not want to perform the movement more in a week without frying your nervous system? Like that's a no-brainer for me. It makes perfect sense. But I think a lot of people do use it in street lifting. They just don't realize they're using it. So if I speak to some people, they say, oh, I say, what's that day there? And they say, oh, it's that's my lighter day. That's my light day, my easy day. And then I see what they do. I'm like, it's a speed day. So it's just speed work.
Normally it's speed work.
And
also they have in the off-season blocks, I also see a lot of rep work, like 4x20, and they don't know like 4x20 pulls is like working that rep work of that conjugate system. Just they call it like days or easy days or I don't like to go for the work the word easy or the word secondary, because there are secondary days obviously, but the importance of that days is normally more than the main days, or just the same importance. Because if you go for the word like easy, the athlete might not be putting their max effort on that speed day.
That's a good point.
And you need to say, look, might be easy, but if you do this a great session, the main session, like the big session of the week that you want to do, it's going to be great. But you need to put the work here. You need to put the work on the speed days. And speed days is a better word to say. You need to put that speed, that explosiveness, that acceleration work.
It's the intent, right? The intent needs to be a lot. And I think that's a big part of it. It's not going to be fatiguing on the nervous system, but the intent, like when I come out of a speed set, I'm like, whew, okay, because I'm putting a lot of intent into moving that weight as quick as possible. And I think also what you said about not using the word easy is a good point, because like you said, you start saying easy, the intent goes, because you're like, oh, just do some light work. I always say, like, I rather, when people say, oh, should it be easy or should it be light? I'm like, depends who you're talking to. It's kind of like, it's either fast, so your speed work, or it moves slow because it's heavy. So like, I'd prefer to look at things based on velocity, because that will tell me everything. If it moves slow, it was heavy. If it moves fast, it was, then it was light, if we want to call it that. Plyometrics you mentioned. So do you pair these with movements? Are they performed on their own? Is it like a potentiation method? Like what's the pliers that you use?
Normally I don't do like 1 day of plyometrics. I like to combine plyometrics and, for example, a squat day, or plyometrics in the push, like some bench press pushing and throwing the bar, or just some push-ups with jumps, or also plyometrics, but before the squat session, just like the final part of the warm-up. It's some plyometric circuit that prepares you for that session, and you go for that session with a nervous system like so active, and that session is normally perfect. When I used plyometrics, normally in that elemental blocks, because the impact on the joints of the knee overall might be a lot in that peaking block, but before I like a lot plyometrics, just to set up the nervous system, you know?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, that's a similar reason to how I use them. It's a good potentiator before your heavy squat or before your heavy dip or whatever it may be. And again, it's another, there's another strength quality you're working that, like, there's no movement in the gym that you can perform quicker than from your legs than in like a box jump or a medicine ball throw, the speed in which you could throw that. So that's kind of like that kind of speed, which is hard to do with anything else. So, no, I like that.
And
go on.
I also noticed a great jump on my squat level thanks to weightlifting movements. I used them in the past, like 2 or 3 years ago. I combined, because I wanted to learn how to do weightlifting, and I combined like streetlifting and weightlifting. Nice. And normally I have that weightlifting, because I have 2 coaches there, one coach for weightlifting and another for streetlifting. And I put the weightlifting movements, and then I went to squats, and squats like not in that block, but the transfer after 2 or 3 blocks was great. I have one of my greatest squats ever in that moment. So transferring movements and go for that capabilities of speed, of explosiveness. Yeah. That's the real strength, you know. That's where the strength is.
What movements were you using? The weightlifting movements.
I used clean pulls, clean and jerk, snatch. I did everything, you know.
Was
also
it like a full or like a power snatch, power clean? Was it all full?
Full.
Okay.
I also wanted to compete in weightlifting, but it was too much, you know. Yeah. It was too much.
Yeah. It's funny you say that, because so what's the day today? So yesterday I had a deadlift session. And my deadlift sessions, I only have a heavy deadlift session once every 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. So every time I have that deadlift session, before I go do my deadlifts, I have plyometrics, and it's been rotating, just a different exposure to something each time. So maybe it might be box jump from standing, maybe box jump from a seated position, maybe box jump with some ankle weights. But the one I had yesterday was, like a kneeling jump. So you sit on your knees and you just jump, but with a snatch. So a kneeling snatch. So a similar thing. So the snatch from obviously Olympic weightlifting, but the same kind of thing. It's just to fire up that nervous system before I go to the big heavy lift. So it's similar kind of concept. So yeah, I like that a lot. So, are you big on kind of like assistance work is where I'm going, but in terms of big assistant lift, like I call them predictor lifts or main predictor lifts. And what I mean by that is maybe I've got certain movements that aren't a street lifting movement, but I find that if we can improve them, it will have some good transfer to help with one of the competition lifts. Is there any lifts that you utilize where you're like, yeah, this one's really good, I like to use this because it does help with dip, or this one does help with that pulling strength? Is there anything you've got like that you use?
Yeah, I think everything uses like bench press for dips, but also military press, and I love handstand push-ups. I came from gymnastics, so I use that handstand push-up assistance work for that dips, and pushing them 3 in different stages.
Okay. Would you say one over one? Would you say any of them sort of have that little bit extra transfer? Like, would you like to prefer to finish on one of those variations before maybe you go into your peaking phase?
Normally, I start with touch and go bench press, like normal bench press. No powerlifting bench press. I competed in powerlifting like it's going to be like half a year ago, and after that powerlifting comp, I started preparing for the qualifier of street lifting, and I noticed a big improvement in my dips. You know, just in benching. Yeah, nice. I had no dips at all. Just like in the picking block, I had no dips, and I noticed a big improvement in my dips after pushing my bench a lot, because I've never pushed my bench so hard, and I noticed that improvement. So the transfer is there, but now in my picking blocks or my specificity blocks for competing now in Euros, I like that football bar bench press, not regular bench press, but the multi-grip, the football bar bench press. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
Big fan. Yeah. Do you get the, or with newbies, this happening?
Yeah, newbies tend to. So you have to work like a lot of weeks, more like 12 weeks of football bar, because the first weeks are like this. And then you like now how to stabilize, and I think that transfers a lot for dips. I'll put like first the bench press and then the military press or handstand push-ups, because shoulders are really important for dips, for stabilization, the scapular movements, and also for mobility, for pulls. You know, a good strength in shoulders and a good capability of pushing overhead, I think it's really important for the health of your shoulder, and it will be a good transfer for your lifts. So military press is perfect. Then rowing, I also like rowing, but in the elemental blocks. I don't tend to put some big rows in the competition areas or in the competition phases, because rowing tends to have a lot of fatigue, and I don't think it's that useful in this competition time. But rowing in the elemental blocks tends to transfer really well for the competitive blocks, you know?
Yep. Yeah.
I mean big rows like seal row, pendlay row, bent over row.
Yeah. Nice. Do you have any do you do anything for the muscle up? Any, but as in, I'm talking like a more, the bigger transfer lifts, but I'm assuming because of the pull, you're kind of utilizing that for the muscle up as opposed to like a big lift to transfer.
I like pullovers.
Nice. Okay. I like pullovers. Yeah.
That extension work of the shoulder. And also up wheel or banded up wheel with a band in the up wheel. So you combine a pullover and an up wheel, and mainly pullover. And for squats, I love good mornings. You know,
my man.
For me, good mornings are the best exercise for building a great squat. You know,
100%. Yeah, 100%. To be fair, that's been for me a big game changer with some athletes, where I'm like, okay, have you got any good morning numbers? And they're like, I've never done it. I'm like, what? So like for me, that's like a good problem, because I'm like, well, look, we need to bring up your good morning, because then your potential increases, injury occurrence is gonna drop. I think an underutilized movement for sure. Good morning.
Yeah. I learned everything about good morning when I worked with Xavier, because back in the past, for prepping that Euros, I worked with Xavier Macias, and he loves good morning. You know,
really?
He really goes for 2 or 3 RMing in that pin good morning or safety bar good morning, like
that's
really hard good morning, you know.
Yeah. No, big fan. The bench press that you mentioned, do you have any preference on grip width, or do you not find it makes too much difference?
Nowadays, I work with that fat bar grip.
Yeah.
And I combine that fat bar with that football bar in the competitive blocks. And if the athlete has the opportunity to go for some bigger grip, I like bigger grips for pushing. And also for like French press or that tricep work, I like a lot of that fat grip.
What about in terms of the camera's here, the width? Any particular width you tend to go for?
And normally I start with bigger widths, and when the season comes to a competition, I like to close that, because the loads in the dips are heavier and you need to heal your pecs a lot. And I mainly focus on that elbow work, elbow extension work. Yeah.
Any Larson press, where legs off the bench? So it's
and also Paralympic. I love Paralympic and Larson.
Interesting.
And the combination of football bar, ping, and Paralympic, it's like the killing variation for that bench press,
Yeah. No, it's really nice to hear that you use a football bar, because I think a long while ago I put a post out about like the best bar for bench press if it's for carryover to dip, and it's basically either football bar or Swiss bar being the same. That way the football bar is kind of more like this, right?
I have that in my gym.
Exactly. And it just even like, it's the same hand orientation you're going to use for your dips, right? But yes, it's I'm happy that you were using one of those as well. That's cool.
I love it.
Yeah. Are you big on like your sessions that you plan for your athletes? Do you have quite a bit of other assistance work, maybe smaller, like remedial stuff? I don't know, whether it's shoulder stabilizer work, lower back, and are you putting that into your program as well?
Yeah, for sure. Because in street lifting, we normally tend to a lot of internal rotation. Like a lot of internal rotation work in muscle up. Also, if you are going for pull-ups, rotational work is so big, and the combination of muscle up, pull-ups, and dips tend to force a lot of that internal rotation. And you need to compensate in a way that external rotation, like face pulling or band pull apart, or go for some rotational stuff, external rotation stuff, because if you don't do it, you are going to have problems in the future, And the combination between muscle up and chin ups, I think it's better in terms of health of the scapular movements, because of that position tends to external rotation in that chin up position. So normally I try to go for, even if the athletes go for 1 RM in pull-ups or competing in pull-ups, once a week you need to do chin-ups, because of that health of your external rotation work, because only working like Cuban press or face pull is so little for all the effort you are putting in that internal rotation.
I like it. So you're kind of if the pull-up is their main lift, the chin-up for those athletes, you're kind of part of why you're giving it to them is to kind of balance and counter all that pull-up work they're doing. Yeah,
and if it's not chin-up, I put some supinated rows or upper back rows for that external rotation work. That's so important. And also you mentioned it before, the lower back accessories are also so important, because people tend to just do like Bulgarian split squats or just leg extension, leg curl, and they tend to forget hyperextension, reverse hypers, and that lower back work for reps, because that's the healing of the squat, you know. That's how you heal your squat.
100%. Yeah, like I'm a massive fan of the reverse hyper. It's just like all that spinal compression you're getting from squatting and stuff. You want to counter it as much as you can. So you're using, you tend to program various back extension machines, I'm guessing, like maybe like the incline, the glute ham raise, those kind of machines. Yeah, nice.
Yeah, hip thrust. For a better back or a better health of your lower back, you need to go for some hip thrust, Romanian deadlifts, and reverse hypers or hyperextension on glute ham developer. I think it's like the perfect kit to survive to that squats, you know, because you normally we tend to work in that hip flexion always in street lifting, because when you combine with some deadlifts like or you go for some powerlifting, like that hip hinge normally tends to balance all the movements. Like you have a great hip hinge, so your flexors are okay because you are not always into that flexion position. But if you only work for squats, like in street lifting, you need a good hip hinge. You can do it with a Romanian deadlift, not with a conventional because of that fatigue. But a Romanian or just the hyperextensions, but you need to put the work there, because you are going to have problems if you don't work, if you just work squats, you know.
Yeah. No, I like it. Do you do much grip work with your athletes at all?
Normally,
specific. Yeah.
Normally in that elemental blocks of the beginning, in the off-season part of the season, and I tend to go for some hanging exercises, just like really specificity, you know.
Okay.
I tend to give them some work map strengthening exercise, but not focusing much on that grip work, because normally they tend to fatigue a lot, or transfer a lot of fatigue between sessions if they tend to, because the forearms are like the stabilizers of street lifting, and they tend to have a lot of fatigue between sessions, you know. So I put that work in the first phases of my programs, in that off-season work. I like farmer works. I like that hanging, even with one arm weighted hanging. I think that's important, but in the first phases, not in that competition, because the load will be a lot and fatigue will traduce in hurting your forearms normally.
Yeah. No, I get you. Plus, I guess, especially based on how you're approaching all the phases, by that point, you'd like to think that you don't need any extra grip work by that point. It should have been all sorted. Now we can really get into the street lifting. So that makes sense. Definitely. So, in regards to recovery, do you have much input with your athletes on these? Are there like some things where you always try to, embed into your athletes of like, look, at least making sure you tick off this?
Yeah, normally I have some questionnaires before they start the session. Like in the app where I work, they have some questionnaires to how good was your sleep, how much fatigue you feel on your upper body, how much fatigue you feel on your lower body. You know, I try to get this like always some knowledge of how the athlete is in general, and then with my feedback or daily feedback, I try to like, how are you? How is your sleeping? How is your food? Are you in a caloric surplus? You know, I try to check that point, because you can have the best, we said it before, you can have the best training or the best programming, but if you don't work on your recovery or you don't work on your habits, you are going to like the quality of your training is going to be poor, you know?
Yeah, no, 100%. Is that, would you say that's something has been frequent from your experience with athletes, like sleep being an issue, or has it not been too much of a issue with people you work with?
Depends on the athlete, but normally sleep is the forgotten variable, you know.
It's the one that doesn't cost as well.
Yep.
Yeah, the one recovery tool that doesn't cost any money.
Yeah. And I best athletes or the athletes who train harder tend to go so strict in the sleep work, or if they sleep bad, they go for a nap in that day. Like people who really are focused in training take that variable into account, and it makes a lot of surplus in your training, you know?
Yeah, so it's a good point. I mean, there's a saying of like the one that can train the most but still recover will get the strongest. So it's if I think if sleep is lacking, it's gonna cause troubles, and like injury rate is gonna increase as well, which nobody wants really as a competitive athlete.
Totally.
When it comes to working with your athletes, is there much like what happens in those situations of poor sleep? It could be poor sleep. It could just be they're going into the session for whatever reason, not feeling great. Do you get them to adjust the session based on how they feel, or against what maybe was programmed? Or I don't know if with online clients you might not know until after, so it's almost too late. Yeah.
Normally, I try to tell them that even if they feel bad, they need to warm up and do the session, because sometimes they can surprise. Because that bad feelings normally tends to get okay with a good warm up and a good approach. Normally you need more warm up or more specific exercise to get into the session. But first of all, I tell them do the session, and afterwards we see what we can do in the rest of the week. If you are having like stress from the work, or stress from the family, or stress from bad sleep issues, then we need to work afterwards in that volume, or the total volume, or the intensity days of that week, to get some lower volume or lower intensity. But after that session, first you need to stay 1 or 2 days like doing what you need to do, even if you feel bad. And when we had that information, okay, you feeling bad, you are not recovering, okay, now we are going to change things, but not before. Not before the session. I try to change things, because there's a lot of it happened to me a lot of times that athletes tend to like go for like I'm so lazy now, I don't want to do the session. But when once you say them do the session, and afterwards you tell me how did you feel, and normally they have a good session, or a regular session, not the best session of their lives, but a regular session. You know, because and it comes to the same thing that saying always, okay, it's no problem, I go for less reps, or don't do too much. No, if you are a competition athlete, or you want to be in the top level, or just competing, you want to compete, sometimes you have to put the effort, even if you are tired. You know, I try to do it like myself. I always say that trainers must be the first example of our athletes. And normally when I have a lot of work, I go to the session and I'm exhausted. But I do it anyways, and that's the best example we can do or we can show for them, know?
Yeah. I can definitely say that I've had a few sessions where I'm like, this isn't going to go well. Warmed up, feels okay, warmed up, and then somehow I've hit a PB in maybe not a 1RM, but a 5RM or something. So it does happen, and I think, taking that extra time to just warm up the nervous system can be the difference.
For sure. And also, I think using some tools from conjugate system, I'm not feeling good here in my dips, but I can go a little harder in my football bar bench press because I'm okay here, and I go for some max effort day in my football bar instead of my dips because I'm feeling better there, and I don't have some pain. I don't have pain there, but yes, in dips. So I try to have some tools to get the session done, get that effort done, and complete the working volume of the week,
No, nice. When it comes to competition prep, but if we fast forward, what's like your ideal like finishing up for competition lifts in terms of like reps? Are you kind of getting your athletes like the last heavy session? Are we singles? Are we doubles? Is there any preference you have on that?
Normally, I tend to go for singles. Every trainer will tell you this, but I try to explore what tends to be the peaking or the best peaking protocols for the athlete. And some athletes, I also tend to see this in squats normally or in dips. I have some clients in the past that instead of going for singles in dips because they had some pain or they didn't feel good with singles, they go for 3 RM or 3 reps, like 3 reps RP8 1 week before competition, and they have had the best competition of their lives, So I try to see what protocol feels the best for the athletes or fits perfectly, and normally I use that. In the vast majority of athletes, singles are the king.
Yep.
But sometimes I tend to use what the athlete feels best to peak, and if an athlete feels in 4x4 and no top set, just flat sets, and then go for peaking, why not? If they feel the best, you can try it. And also I try to, during the seasons, I try to test this year by year, and sometimes it can be a top set of 4 reps, and sometimes a singles. This can change during the lifetime of the athlete, but normally singles.
Normally, yeah. How long would you have their final heavy session out from comp?
Normally for squats, 2 weeks out.
Yep.
Normally, and also for dips, or 10 days out for dips. And with muscle up, I tend also in the tapering of the rest of the lifts, the muscle up can go hard in that Monday,
So normally, Monday, the week of comp.
The week of comp.
Yep. Okay.
In pools like 1 week before, and then the tapering week tends to be same volume but low intensity, or just not big intensity, just right around RP 6 or 7. But in pools, I tend to go harder and more intense near the competition, and with push, with dips, with squats, like 10 to 15 to 20 days, depends on the athlete. If it's an athlete that it's like you, like really strong of posterior change, I've had, and he's in like 94 category. It's a heavier category. The final squat, it's like 2 or 3 weeks from the competition.
Okay.
You know?
And then on those particular lifts where you're giving them slightly a longer period between the last heavy session and comp, what's happening in that gap? Is it still performing the comp lift, but you're dropping intensity? Is it just speed work? Like what happens at that point?
Normally I like double progressions, you know, like 1 week I'm going for singles, the next week I'm going for triples. And that double progression worked really good for me and for my athletes to get that specificity work, but not burning that singles, you know. And I tend to go like undulating, like 1 week for singles, 1 week for triples, 1 week for singles, 1 week for triples. And I go for the heaviest single, then I go for a triple, not a so hard triple, but a triple that makes a good effort, like RP 7 to 8, not 9 or 10, but a good effort triple, and then tapering for the comp.
Okay. And then how often are you allowing athletes to push to that 9 to 10, or are you always saving that for comp?
Normally, when it comes to comp, I never go for that RP 10. 9, okay. Only RP 10 in muscle up.
Okay.
Normally, I go for RP 10 in muscle up, like not every day, but every week I go for RP 9 to 10 in muscle up, you know? Because if there's a movement that can benefit for going for that RP 10, it's muscle up, you know? Because recovering from an RP 10 of a squat is really hard. But recovering for an RP 10 for muscle up, like you can go for RP 10 like 12 times in a day, and 2 days after you are recovered, you know?
For sure. I think that's the difference between, where it's more of a speed movement. You can recover from it a lot easier than a grindy 10 out of 10 squat, for sure.
Yeah, because load is like 20 times that muscle up, you know?
The week of competition, is there any major change there? I'm assuming obviously intensity now's like dropped. But what's kind of like a typical comp week looking like?
Normally, I like to maintain the frequency, because if you are adapted to some frequency and some volume, you need to go. If the athletes go for a big drop in volume, normally, then when you go to comp, you don't feel that feeling with the bar, with the weights. And it's so important for me to set everything almost the same, dropping a little bit of intensity, and giving 1 or 2 days of rest. You know, like normally I try to start the week with pulls, you know, Monday pulls, Tuesday I go for push, and Wednesday I again go for some speed work for pulling, like a potentiation or activation for that comp, and then I go for some rest on Thursday, on Friday, you know? Or if the athlete is adapted to train on Thursdays and go heavy on Saturdays, I maintain that, you know? I have the same split normally. I don't like to have an aggressive tapering, you know? I don't like to drop a lot of the volume.
I get you. So really your objective there is to keep them sharp, essentially, obviously we don't want to fatigue them, but you want to keep them stimulated, keep them sharp to perform. As opposed to taking a whole week off before comp.
Normally I prefer to get them a little bit fatigued than full rest, because full rest normally tends to laziness, tends to not feeling. Then when you have to go heavy in the comp, they don't feel that sharpness, you know. They don't feel that spark.
You kind of like I always say, like the feeling you ideally want a few days out from comp is like you're now itching to, I need to do something. Like you're getting to that point, not kind of like I'm a bit fatigued, man. You don't want that. You kind of you want to be ready to go at that point. You
need sessions that get you hunger for that comp day, you know. You need to get hungry. So you need sessions that have that burning and that sparking, but not getting you too fatigued.
No, that's it. When it comes to, as we're on the topic of like now getting close to competition, like you're handling your athletes in person, I'm assuming, as and when you can. So what is your main objective really with them? In fact, no, before that, in terms of your athletes that you are taking to competition, I'm assuming you're going to come up with their kind of like estimates and then attempts. Is there like a plan before you go in?
Normally I try to have a meeting with them, like a video call, and try to set up a game plan. Like we go for some RP 6 to 7 openers, and then we build up for that. For if the opener moved good, you go for some of these attempts, and if it didn't move good, we have another option here.
Okay.
You know? And I try to talk with the athlete, because normally athletes try to have very high expectations for that comp, and you need to be realistic with them. We come to the same conversation that we had, that you need to be honest, and you have to say, look, the tapering normally in street lifting, in powerlifting, I tend to see more magical taperings because loads normally are heavier, you rest a lot, but when it comes to muscle up or in pulling, normally you aren't going to have a big day of 10 or 15 new RM in your comp. You need to be honest and say, look, in muscle up, you normally are going to move the same or 2.5 kgs more, but not more, you know. You need to be like realistic and honest with them to say, you know, muscle up isn't the squat, isn't the deadlift. You aren't going to go for 15 kilos more than in training.
That's true. I always say, like, there's numbers the athlete really wants to hit. There's numbers the athlete are probably predicted to hit based on what they've just done in their block. And then there's numbers that are probably the realistic ones you should go on, because not everything always go to plan in competition. Like if you miss your opener, that could change things, because now it's like, you know, or if you miss your second, do you go up again? Do you play it safe and do the same weight? So there's a lot of variables that can change the outcome.
For sure. In competition, you never know. You can go for an opener and forget the command of the judge, and you need to. Normally, I try to repeat the weight, because normally, if you tend to go up from that weight, normally it gets worse, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you begin your competition with two red cards, normally you are out, you know.
When it comes to like the nutrition side, during competition? Is this something you kind of let the athlete just keep on top of? Is it something that you, as their coach, you try to sort of keep them sort of on top of nutrition?
Yeah. Normally here in Spain, there's a lot of heat. So normally salts are really important.
Yeah.
Like getting your electrolytes or preparing your electrolytes for the competition, it's the key. But also having like your carbohydrates ready.
Yeah.
Like quick assimilation carbohydrates. I like I don't know how to say, like rice powder or rice flour.
Yeah.
More like.
I can't think of the name. I do know what you're on about though. Yeah, I've never had it, but yeah.
Like a porridge of rice and
like oats,
with some,
maybe? Yeah.
Or not oats because they got fiber. I try to.
Okay. Is it cream of rice? They call it.
Cream of rice.
Cream of rice. Yeah.
And honey and fruit, like quick assimilation carbohydrates, and then electrolytes like salt, like proper electrolytes, supplementation of electrolytes. I think it's Powerade. I always like to give them like a recipe of what they need to get into comp, because they normally go for that squat and they feel so bad because they didn't eat anything, or they just drink water and caffeine. And if you only do that, you are going to have a lot of issues during the comp.
Yeah. That's it. When it comes to like the psychological aspect, obviously I know we're not professionals in that realm, but is that something you have to kind of give some helping hand with? Because obviously I think competing in the gym versus competing on the platform is a whole different ball game, and it could almost be like the difference between someone performing well and just crumbling under pressure.
Yeah. Normally the most of the athletes I get into comp are like novel athletes they and in that cases I tend to tell them that they need to have the lower of the pressures. Like they don't need to put some pressure in their head. They will do anyways, but you need to like tell them that there's no importance in the performance. They need to get up to the judges. They need to get up to the platform. They need to feel good in that environment, because that's the key for me in a first comp. You know, after that first comp, and we go to nationals, or we are going to smash some records in a qualifier, then you need to have some pressure, you know?
Yeah.
But in your first competition, you don't need that pressure, because it tends to be worse. It tends to get more nervous. You tend to boycott or ruin your competition because of that nervous. And I try to tell them in that call I have with them the week of the competition that guys, we need to have fun in the competition. That's the main objectives in a first comp. And afterwards, when you are facing Euros, when you are facing qualifier for nationals or the nationals, and you want to do something, you want to get to the podium, you need to have the that small amount of pressure to get into the job, you know, because you need to get into the job, and it's going to be hard, you know. You have to be honest, and you have to say, look, this is not going to be easy. You have to be prepared, but I'm here with you. I'm going to be there. I'm going to give you the best of my advice, and I'll try to give my best, because we've worked so long for this, you know. And they always will get nervous, because I get nervous, and I have 10 or 12 competitions in my back. But they will always get nervous, you know, and it's like that, you know.
I think the day that I compete and I don't get nervous is the moment I'll worry. Because I think that nervousness feeling is a good thing. It's just being able to redirect and utilize it rather than obviously crumbling under pressure. But it's probably more inexperience where if someone gets nervous, they don't have the experience to be able to know, like, no, that's a good thing. You want that. We want that feeling, you know, want that adrenaline. So before I pursued strength sports as a career, I was competing in MMA professionally, and the last 2 fights I had before I retired, I went into those fights what I would sort of say where I was fully aware of what was going on, whereas usually I'm tunnel vision. I can hear people, but I'm so focused. It just sounds. Whereas the last two, I was like, oh yeah, there's my mate, there's him, and I had no adrenaline, nothing at all. And those were the moments when I realized, like, it's not what I want to pursue anymore, because I didn't get nervous anymore. More so because I didn't want to be there. Probably not the best environment to be in that position, locked in a cage with someone. But I think those nerves are good, and once you can channel those nerves into that kind of, like, I guess they would refer to it as like flow state and being in the moment, very tunnel vision. But that takes time. Like with your, say, if you've got more novice athletes, for those athletes, would you, if they can, would you try to get them to compete a little bit more, if possible, to get that experience early on? Would you push for that? Yeah,
for sure. I try to that novel that beginners. I try to get them into their first year of training, even to first comp, to get the list of the pressures, and then build up from there. And like I say, you start competing and you don't know how to compete. You start learning how to compete, competition after competition, you know, meeting after meeting. You need to expose yourself to that meetings and expose yourself to that environment year after year. If you stop competing, you might get lazy or get relaxed, and the feeling of competing is really important. Not always in street lifting. You can compete in powerlifting, you can compete in other sports, but the feeling of competing, you know, is important to get into the environment, to get into shape, to get in your head into the game. I think it's important. Because you tend to relax. Athletes tend to go for laziness and relaxing, and then that tends to not effort, or not putting the effort to get their objectives. You know, competing is also good to tunnel vision, focusing, and getting in shape for a day in the calendar. I love the calendar because athletes tend to focus more when they have a meeting in a certain date. You know?
100%. Obviously, streetlifting's rapidly grown, at least since I've been involved in it, and I'd assume it's the same for you. Do you see the potential for it to grow, you know, as big as a lot of the other strength sports like that we see today?
I think so.
Yeah.
Because of that media and that social media background we have with, obviously with Final Rep, and also the athletes are putting a lot of effort into that media. But I think we need to find a person or a group of people that go for some exploding, you know, because in powerlifting you have really big influencers or really big important people that started promoting powerlifting, and like 20 or 15 years ago, I only heard from powerlifting because I like the sport. But I think we need some people like big influencers like Nadine did in the past.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Nadine was so important for streetlifting, also for women in streetlifting, because that kind of people tend to promote the sport a lot in their countries, in their I don't know how to say it, but we are waiting for some group of people that go for that explode. But I think the evolution of the sport is really good. It's growing quickly, and we have that with the South American final rep comps, the United States comps that are really good. We have a competition in New York, in Houston. There's competitions in important cities, and I think it's just a matter of time that streetlifting gets into powerlifting or even more. You know, I think we are going to grow like faster, and obviously thanks to social media, and we just need a sparkling or some people that I don't know how to say it, but we just need some people to explode, you know, the streetlifting
no,
world.
I get you. Yeah. No, I get you, because a lot of the time that's all it takes, right? Just that one little thing that ignites, and then suddenly it just jumps to a whole nother level.
That's it.
The good thing is there's constant things happening, things are still growing. So if that was to happen, at least all this work in the background by people all around the world doing what they're doing, it's happening. So there is something for to keep pushing it. But what's your thought? Because all four, I would say, has kind of like become the flagship, right? If you're getting into streetlifting now, it's kind of like, if you're not getting into all four, no one's really bothered to some extent. Do you think there's room for the other formats? Like whether that's 1 lift, 2 lift, 3 lift. What are your thoughts on that? So like I know it's not the same sport, but I'll use it as an example. Like in powerlifting, you'll see some specialists where they just enter bench press or deadlift only, stuff like that. Do you see any growth in that?
Look, here in Spain, the one lift comps are not really crowded. Like there's only a few people competing there.
Do they do them individually? It's like a 1 lift comp.
Yeah, only bench press, only deadlift.
Okay.
And there's not a lot of people, but in Italia, for example, Italian tends to go for 1 RM in pools or in deep.
Yeah.
They have the God of Pool competition, the God of Deep competition.
Yeah.
All around the year, like 2 or 3 times around the year.
Yeah.
And I think it's important because if you have more competitions, people tend to compete more or get more into the competing circuit.
Yeah.
And they are doing so good because one of the greatest communities are the Italians.
For sure. Yeah.
Here in Spain, we only have 2 competitions around the year, 1 qualifier and 1 nationals. And there's only like 250 athletes here in Spain, like competing athletes. In Italia, I think they get into 1,000 athletes competing.
Really? Wow. That's crazy. Okay. I mean, it does show when you look at a lot of the top 10 athletes in weight classes, there's a lot of Italian names in those lists. So it makes sense as well. The reason why I ask is because with the OSL brand, a big thing for us is to push competitions. That was always the end, or one of the end goals. But just in a very different direction to a lot of what's already out there. Mainly just because different vision, different options. But one of the things for us was to allow athletes, so any comp that we put on, all four being the flagship format. However, you can enter 1 lift, 2 lift, 3 lift, and each athlete can actually choose what lifts they want to do. So if you choose 2 lift, you could do muscle up and squat. You could do muscle up and pull. So you can just choose. The reason being, I was like, it will open up more doors because there's less barriers to entry, because there's a lot of street lifters who don't want to squat, which is fine. It's cool. So, well, I'll give them the option. You don't have to squat. Maybe there's specialists who they just train muscle up, but there's not many places you can go to just compete. Or you'd have to do the muscle up and then do a bodyweight pull up, and bodyweight dip, and squat the bar, right, to get an official score. So I thought it gives them options as well. I think the more controversial one that I've just recently put out was us allowing males to compete in rings for the muscle up, but to differentiate records in terms of ring a ring record and a bar record. Again, for maybe just a different option or a different challenge for some athletes. It's like, I wonder what total I could put up by trying the ring. And it kind of, to me, it keeps things a little bit the same in terms of if females have the option to choose between ring and bar, why not allow males to have an option between ring and bar? I'm not sure how popular it would ever get, but I feel having the option again opens up barriers. I've had athletes in the past who actually can't bar muscle up yet, but they actually can ring muscle up, and that was the thing holding them back from competing, because they can't do the bar muscle up.
That's a really good point.
What are your thoughts on that? Go on.
I wanted to say that a lot of people in gyms, in commercial gyms, do weighted pull-ups, but they don't know that there are competition of weighted pull-ups, because normally there's no one movement competitions.
No.
And bringing like a pull-up competition in your city can introduce a lot of people into street lifting. Because there's a lot of people in the world doing pull-ups, but just pull-up. They don't know. They don't like squats. They don't like muscle-ups. They just like pull-ups because it's a great exercise for the back. You can't measure yourself with other people doing pull-ups. So
that's it.
It's like the standard back exercise.
I think for now we'll just allow those athletes to compete, chuck them into a flight with all 4 athletes, because for me to think that there's enough people to just do a pull-up competition only, I think is unrealistic at this point. But popping them into a flight with other athletes doing a full comp is an easy way to introduce it. And usually what that leads to a lot of the time is, I wonder if I could do dip as well. I wonder if I could learn a muscle up. And then before you know it, these people who were only wanted to do pull up have now become a full all 4 street lifting athlete, So there's that as well.
I think that's a great way to improve the number of people doing street lifting, for sure. I love the idea.
Hopefully, just takes a lot of work, but we'll keep pushing it. And that's the reason for stuff like this podcast as well. It's like it's all good me putting on competitions on and trying to build those over time, but also somewhere for education resource of just this conversation between me and you, just bouncing ideas it gives places people to actually hear what's going on with the coaches within the sport as well. Because I think that's a tough thing to sort of find at the moment. Like, I can go on YouTube and find loads of like this powerlifting coach, this strongman coach, this track and field coach talking about how they do stuff, but it's there's stuff on Streetlifting, don't get me wrong, but it's there's not as much, you know.
No.
There's not as much.
There's
No, and even coaches, like Streetlifting coaches, and at the moment it's just the athletes. We know the athletes, but no one knows the coaches, the people behind working magic on apps and spreadsheets and stressing. Yeah.
Totally. And this year I came with a series of workshops here in my city.
No, I did see this actually. Yeah. Well, just explain what that was about. Yeah,
because for me, the ones who will also spread streetlifting all around their local communities are coaches, and we need to professionalize the coaches and get really for professionalize the sport. We need to get really good coaches for spread the streetlifting all around their cities, all around their Instagram accounts, all around their YouTube accounts. So for me, it was really important to make workshops about streetlifting and get good coaches from there to get more students, more athletes competing here in the Spanish community. So I did here some workshops, and nice. year after year we are getting more people interested into the streetlifting. I'll say I don't know how to say it in English, but negocio, like business, the streetlifting business. Well, okay. We need to grow the streetlifting business. We need to get people interested in getting their job about training streetlifting athletes. You know, we need to grow in that direction also, because that's where the professionalization of the sport is.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think one of my objectives with this podcast as well was obviously to bring on people like yourself who are top coaches within the sport of streetlifting, but also to use my connections from outside of the sport to bring in other professionals, whether that be a top coach in powerlifting, strongman, whether it be a psychologist, but then to kind of take their information to showcase how that can be applied to streetlifting. Because I think sometimes looking outside the box and like look at like other coaches, other sports, what are they doing that has got their athletes to an elite level? Because there's going to be something you can take from that and then take bits and apply it to streetlifting, which I think will massively help, as opposed to just keeping things in a small box of streetlifting, because there's always something to learn, right? There's always something you can learn from someone's like, you know what, that's a really good idea. How can I apply that to this sport? Okay, this works. The same way like we both have used elements of what was being used in conjugate system in terms of speed work. You could be quite ignorant and be like, that's powerlifting, meathead stuff of just big guys on steroids. I don't need that. Whereas it's like, hold on, why are they doing that? Okay, cool. How can I apply that to streetlifting? Okay. And then you've just now taken a cool little tool to improve streetlifting.
For sure.
Yeah.
Learning other methodologies and other training systems is great for growing the sport. It's great because if a coach has more tools in their toolbox and they have like, oh, here I have my my tool of speed work for this day because this athlete needs to get into more explosiveness, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I have that tool because I learned it from Owen or from Pablo, from a top coach. So giving voice to that coaches and giving voice to another professionals of other disciplines is great because that's the best way to professionalize the sport.
Yeah,
for sure.
Exactly.
For sure.
Before I let you go, just remind me, am I right in saying you're next in action as an athlete at Euros? Is that correct? Final Rep Euros.
Yeah. Final Rep Euros.
October, right? October.
Yeah.
Wicked. So I'll get to see you there actually because I'll be there. So that'd be cool. Yeah. I'll be there,
awesome.
my friend.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say I wish you luck because I don't think it's got anything to do with luck. I don't like people saying that. So
No.
I'm sure training will go well. Train hard for that. And that's going to be in the 73 category, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's out of monsters there, but I'll try to do my best.
Do you know what? It's crazy because now every weight class is becoming stacked. Whether it's female or male, it doesn't matter. It's just every weight class. It's like shit. And the levels are just doing that at the moment.
Yep.
But you're in that mix of the elite, my friend. You're in the mix.
I'll try to make my best.
Yeah. I'm sure you'll do well. So yeah, I shall see you in October. Again, thank you very much for taking the time to chat to me today. Always appreciated. It's good for me to speak to others, bounce ideas, see how other people are doing stuff. I think that's key for all of us. There's always something we can learn, right? No matter
for sure
how high someone thinks their knowledge is, there's always something.
Always. I love this type of podcast, this type of like spreading knowledge all around the world. I think it's, even if this is watched by 200, 300 people, doesn't matter because that people will learn something from what we talk today, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's great. That's the first thing we need to do as coaches, like spreading all our knowledge and give streetlifting voice, you know?
Yeah.
And thank you so much for bringing me here. It's an honor for me.
No problem, my friend. No problem. Well, enjoy the rest of your weekend. And
thank you so much.
I'll see you in a few months.
For sure. We will see there in Paris.
Cool. Yeah. See you later, bro.
See you later.
Okay.